What is up, my friends? Brian Elliott here, and today I'm going to review the lens that you're seeing me through, the Sigma Art 35mm f1.4. Right now, you are seeing it on the Sony FX3, and it is at f1.4 because I love me my blurry background. You can kind of see some stuff back there. You can see Grogu. You can see Grogu. I like Grogu, what can I say? But let's get into the video. So let's start with image quality, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's what you see right here. You can see I'm nice and sharp. I don't have any filters on the lens. You can see the quality of the blurry background. You can see kind of some of the bokeh balls, kind of what they're doing. There's a lot to love about the image of this lens. It's a very clean lens. It's a very crisp lens, and I really like the look out of it. It's a great lens, you know, for interviews like this, if you want kind of a semi-wide shot like this. It's great on a Steadicam. I've used it a ton on my A7 III, on the GlideCam HD2000, and it's been a fantastic lens for shooting a lot of moving fashion and portraiture and weddings, things like that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful lens. I do want to add that there's not much character like you'd get out of something like the Helios 44-2. The blurry background, it's just a really beautiful, simple, non-distracting look, which I really, really enjoy. So let's talk about the flaring on this lens, and like, why talk about it? Like, let's test it. You can see it's actually quite well controlled when you're trying to get, you know, like shining a light. Let's get it crazy. But even like that is extremely well controlled. I'm having trouble getting really ugly flares out of this lens. The build quality of this lens is great. It's sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's just gonna snap or break. It's not like the Rokinons or the Tamrons that feel really plasticky. It feels nice and solid and really good. It's got a 67mm filter thread, which is great. It's nice and small. It doesn't feel too big on something like the A6600, but it doesn't feel too small on something like the FX3, and didn't even feel like out of place on something like the FX9. As I'd mentioned, on a gimbal, it balances very nicely. It does get, you know, a little bit heavy on the arm, but it's really worth it, and you just gotta, you know, work out just a little.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. I work out. I'm sexy and I know it.
And let's talk about the autofocus here. And you've been able to see the autofocus, and it's actually quite good. Make sure you upgrade to firmware 2.0 if it's not firmware 2.0 in the lens, because firmware 1 is
trash.
But firmware 2, really good. Generally very consistent. You will occasionally get a little bit of pulsing, but even if I'm doing some crazy stuff like this, it's a pretty smooth transition. Sometimes it'll jump just a tiny bit. If we try and do something like that, you can see how it transitions close. It has fairly decent minimum focusing distance. Back to me. Yeah, you can see it not going perfectly there. Keep in mind this is f1.4. All that gets way better at f2.8 and on. But yeah, that's just a couple quick examples of what the autofocus is. It's really good at tracking faces. If you're, you know, on a Steadicam or a gimbal rotating around somebody, it does a really good job keeping up with them. If somebody's walking towards you, it does a really good job of tracking their face. You know, I can only so much simulate that here, but you know, you're getting that, and it's really good. Now let's talk about the manual focus, because most reviews don't talk about manual focus, but the manual focus is really good on this lens. It is a linear focusing motor, even on the Sony, which is why it's not always perfect in the autofocus, but it's about a 90-degree rotation, so it's not gonna be your cine lens 180 or 360-degree rotation, but it's great if you are handheld and you can really work with it. It has an autofocus manual focus switch. There we go. And we are at the maximum focusing distance, which is further than you can see in the background. So like we're focused back there, and now we're focused up here, focused here. It's very, very easy to switch your focus with this lens. Like, I don't have any trouble doing consistent focus pulls here, which is absolutely fantastic. The focusing ring, pretty smooth, pretty comfortable, nothing that's gonna blow your mind, but nothing that's gonna make you go, ugh, I don't wanna touch this. I don't have any trouble if I'm shooting a short film or something to get nice, smooth focus pulls. This is head and shoulders above if you've used Tamron lenses. Those are a pain in the butt to manually focus. So the price of this lens right now as of recording this video is $849, which for a lens of this quality that has good autofocus and manual focus, for me, is really a no-brainer. I would absolutely buy this lens again. I got rid of a bunch of lenses this past year, and this was not one that I was willing to let go of along with the Sigma Art 50mm. My only gripe would be that the autofocus isn't perfect, but that's the trade-off for really good manual focus. But other than that, I've been insanely happy with this lens over the 3+ years that I've owned it, using it mainly for video as well as for a little bit of photography. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing and hit that like button, and I'll catch you in the next one.